Ahoy everybody, Dickhead Country here. Wanted to talk about some behind the scenes stuff that maybe some of you didn't know up until now. People don't realize that myself, Flick, and Celtic, we do this kind of thing full time, making machinima, doing animation and all that. Toward the end of 2023, started 2024, we realized we were never going to be able to bring oneself back and, bring our productivity up or our, increase our output the way we were going about doing things, scattered to the four corners of the earth and so forth. So Celtic flew over around November time and we looked at a few properties, we looked at a few places, like a few units and stuff, basically set up a production studio for the three of us and any of the kind of network of creators around us, a la, the retools and all that kind of thing. So we wanted to make our own kind of network of creators, like, you'd have OTK in the streaming space. You'd basically have these houses where you would have content creators working together that would double up as both a studio and as a residency. The idea was that there would be two or three of us in there. There'd always be at least one person home, and we would have spare rooms and stuff. So if anyone wanted to fly in and collaborate, we could have that space going. So Celtic Horn flew in. We hit the bars, we hit the clubs, we had a gay old time, and then we started looking at properties that we would like to use to turn into our studio space, right? What we did was we actually found a lovely property out in the town of Cum, and we found a nice place here where we could kind of set down our roots and start building out our little content creator empire, so to speak. And as you can see, the property doesn't look like much from the outside, but we wanted enough space that would be livable. We could have, a chilling quarters, and we could also have some place where we could maybe cook, entertain guests and stuff, have parties, that kind of thing. So I'll take you inside the house and you'll see what we have to work with. So once we get inside the front door, you can see there's kind of an upper level and a bottom level of the house. Flick has his minions doormat there because, he Flick's a stickler for, aesthetics and stuff like that. He loves kind of setting the bar or kind of establishing a space with what he's doing. He loves animation because, he's a big Bugs Life fan and stuff, so he wanted to represent his love for animation. It's the first thing you see when we come in. We left the Hoover out just because we've been cleaning over the weekend. We took the lease out on this place at the start of 2024. Basically, we've been living in it ever since. Flick has been making the finale of oneself in here. I've been working on a lot of my videos here, so a lot of the mocap for Prom Night Disaster was done here. So obviously, we've left our jackets up here. Obviously, that's my parka. That's Celtic's jacket. I think Flick just left a pair of jeans here. We'll go into the front office first, and you can see what our kind of reception area looks like. So this is basically what the front office looks like. So basically someone comes in, if someone's delivering a package or something, they can come in here, talk with a receptionist. Usually it's Sheila who comes in during the week who does this kind of thing. If someone, wants a cup of tea or something, they can kind of help themselves here. This is kind of just like a front office kind of area. We keep it in decent shape for the most part. There's a lot of late nights that go on here, so we'll have monsters and stuff, just in case someone gets tired. This used to be where I worked when we first bought the property, but since now this is kind of where our receptionist, this is where Sheila works out of most of the time. So she'll be taking calls here, answering enquiries, and managing our YouTube pages as well. This is the screening room, so this is usually where we will have our kind of production meetings. 9 times out of 10, if we're having a production meeting, we're having it here. Like, what we'll generally do is we'll gather over here and we'll kind of play back a video before it goes for broadcast. So this is where me, Flick, and Celtic will gather around and we'll look at an episode of oneself before it goes out. We'll look at a video of mine, like Prom Night or Arby Bowl, Chewies and stuff, and we'll play it here before it goes online. Just like where it does go through the last review process. You can see we have our DVR there. This is where Flick eats out of. So we tried to get him to eat out of like plates and like bowls and stuff out of the press. He was happier eating on the floor, so we just left him alone. So that area there, that's where Flick eats out of. And it's ironic because you would think, oh, do they have pets or something? And we do have pets. We actually have two cats. We have Rex and Stuart. So this used to be my bedroom, but I've kind of moved back a little bit since. I didn't want to be too close to the front office too much. I wanted to separate work and leisure, or work. I wanted to separate work and rest, if that makes sense. Now, we held on to the TV here just because it was too much hassle to move it around. You'll see why later on. But you'll see, peeking up over here is Stuart, one of our two cats. Now, oh sorry, this is Rex. Sorry, Stuart is further back in the house. I've been told that Stuart is somewhere. He was photographed here when we were taking the photos for like um, for the website. All these photos are taken for like our corporate website kind of thing. So this is Rex. He's about 6. We have another cat called Stuart, and I don't know where he is. If you see him, point him out because I can't find him here. This is our older television. So this was the first television that we used when I started making Machinima, and the original Xbox that I actually did my first Machinima on is there as well. So that suitcase was something I brought. It's like the first thing I brought to the house when we moved in. I just brought all my oldest gear in case, we were going to do any throwback content. Me and Celtic decided to get matching haircuts and matching facial hair. That's just like a gag we did. There was a photo booth in the mall, and we figured, oh, it'll be funny is like when we move in here, we'll like, get matching haircuts, get one of those 90s style photos. So it's just a meme that me and Celtic did. I moved in, I think, February 2024, and then Celtic moved in March. Flick moved in May, I feel, and it's not been easy for Celtic because Celtic had to move all the way over from the States here. Flick, I mean, he had to move from Scotland, so it's not as far, but it was tough on Flick as well. But I mean, Celtic has to leave behind the wife and kids, so that was tough. We had considered bringing the wife and kids over here, but we wanted to keep it strictly kind of a work environment here. We didn't want to distract Celtic too much. So down here we have our utilities room. So this is where we usually have, this is where we do our laundry, this is where we do the washing up and stuff. So it's a pretty straightforward room. I think we have the immersion in here or something. So if we leave the utility room, we'll head to Celtic's bathroom. So it's a pretty straightforward deal here, He likes to have his McDonald's cup there. He's always joking about the McDonald's cup. And I think his hairspray is in here and everything. So Celtic is kind of set up here. We have different bathrooms just so we're not all up in each other's space when we get up in the morning. Sometimes me and Celtic will like hold hands if we're doing a shit together, but usually I'm not using his bathroom or anything, Usually this is kind of like a group project kind of thing. Like a team building exercise, I would say, if that makes sense. In here we have Celtic's bedroom. So thankfully he cleaned up before we came here because I was afraid it would be messy. Like, he has his shoes in order and everything. He is a worldly guy. Oh, he borrowed my laptop that weekend, but he is a fan of like Men in Black, Rocket Man and stuff. Very much big on watches as well. I think he doesn't assemble watches, but he like repairs them, I think. And obviously he has his TV there to like watch shows or whatever he wants to do. I don't know where his PC is. I'm sure his PC was here when he's working because obviously he has a workstation that he animates off of. But yeah, that's Celtic's room. Over here is Flick's bathroom. So Flick has a urinal and the thing. Now, we had to get Flick to stop drinking out of this for a while. We had a big problem with this. We thought we were going to get him toilet trained, but it's like we had to teach him that this is for number ones, and this is for number ones, and then this one here is for number twos. And I think the sink he uses for number threes. In here we have Flick's room. Also, we had to like denote to Flick. We wanted Flick to know what the room was for, so please knock, because we had Flick like barging in and stuff. I know it's his bathroom, but still, like, if the other toilets were blocked, we'd have to use his, Flick's room, pretty straightforward, not too big, not too small. He doesn't have a TV in here. He doesn't really need the distraction. Like very often, I'll be coming in here at the dead of night. I'll be coming in at like 10 or 11. His bedtime, like his curfew, is about 9, half 9 to 10 o'clock. He'll be in here on his leapfrog playing until the early hours, like 1 or 2 in the morning. So me and Celtic decided, okay, we're going to take away all the distractions, all the gadgets and stuff, because he doesn't need the distractions. If we go through here, we'll get to the kind of main office space. So the upstairs office space is kind of the front-facing, kind of publicly viewable side of it. So if we have investors or we have collaborators coming in, they go in there first, talk to Sheila. It's kind of not a waiting room, but it's where, if we had a public event, we would have people up there like a party and stuff. But this is the business facing side of things. So this is like the brains of the operation now. So a lot of the stuff you see in boxes here is merch. It's DVDs, Blu-rays and stuff. Like we're sending out season 1 of Arby Bowl here. We're sending off box sets of Chewies and stuff. So right now it's a very busy operation. Like we have posters and stuff going out. It's a busy kind of thing, and it gets quite hot as well because although we have people coming in to help out, with the shipping and paid people to help with the boxing and the shipping and all that kind of thing, very often we get overwhelmed and we have to burn a midnight oil ourselves doing it. Very often me and Celtic will be up here doing all the packaging and stuff until 4 or 5 in the morning. Well, like why isn't Flick helping out? And it's because Flick would get overwhelmed doing this. Yeah, this is the storage, I think. Yeah, because not only do we have to store the actual goods, but we also have to store the boxes and stuff. Yeah, this is where we burn all the DVDs and stuff. We were supposed to put that away because we were doing whippets one night. That box cutter, I'm pretty sure Flick pulled on me one time. Oh yeah, this is where we actually author a lot of the DVDs. Now, I will say, very often this becomes the editing suite. So this is usually where we'll manage, like if Sheila's not doing the admin, this is where we'll do that from. So I'll be here. Celtic will be over on the other side, and we'll have a little whiteboard and we'll have our little operation going. Where's our whiteboard? Oh, that's Flick's chair then. That's like one of the guest chairs. I believe Blizz was in there for a little bit. So Blizz obviously was on Inside Oneself for a little bit. A lot of the show was broadcast here and recorded here. We didn't mess with Blizz's desk too much after they left. We kind of left it the way it was. And me, Flick, and Celtic are now kind of running things here now. Yeah, so it's actually a lot tidier than I remember it being, which is good. Printing, scanning stuff, it takes a village. Oh yeah, Flick's always leaving out his video games. He's a character for sure. Just more of the office goods. Sometimes if we're out shooting on location, we'll have some of our gear that we need, like lights, microphones, and stuff. This is the office bathroom. So, if people are coming in to help us out with the shipping and with the putting the boxes together and getting merch out the door, these are the bathrooms they use. We don't really want them using the public bathrooms upstairs. And then we will have a ladies' bathroom as well, because you don't want, it's fair to have that separated. We do have gender neutral bathrooms further back as well. So this is the ladies' room. And yeah, it is what it is. I think we did a good job at catering to everybody here. Going further back, I think we have some of our more task specific stuff here. So there's a lot of DIY stuff, there's tripods, there's drills and stuff, in case there's repairs to make on gear, which happens more often than I'd necessarily like. Flick's collection of DVDs and stuff here, so a lot of this is stuff that Flick owns, which is fine. Sometimes Flick will flip some of his stuff for money. Like if he has a DVD of The Great Wilderness, actually that's not even flicks, that's Celtics, I believe. You know, maybe we'll put that out there, flip it on the market or something. But most of the time, this is just personal stuff. Like The Devil's Reject. I don't. That could have been Bliz's, because it's not mine. I think that's a bit too much for Flick. So at the moment, we're just moving stuff through here, really. Eventually, we'll return this to what it was originally, which was the mocap room, the studio space, all that kind of thing. This is our fire exit, so we don't usually use the stairwell too much unless Flick wants to play, hide and seek or something. So we'll actually come back to this room later on. A lot of Tupperware containers, sometimes, if we're out on location and Flick needs a bat, we'll have one of those. So we're back in the main hallway. Flick obviously loves his Reese's Pieces, and sometimes I'll snatch some of them. This area I think is just where we sort stuff. Very often, if a controller is broken, we'll fix it here. What else do we have here? That's a side entrance to that storage room, I believe. It is, yeah. So we have lanyards, So we have carabiners here. We have parts of tripods and stuff, and gimbals and whatnot. So that's where all the and there's a lot of controllers in there as well, like Xbox controllers and stuff. Just something's broken and you don't have time to fix it, we'll have spares down there. Sometimes if we have too many, like we'll order in bulk, we'll just flip them on eBay or something like that. This is our back entrance. This is usually where we'll have trucks out the back, and that's where the trucks will go out to put the DVDs in the shops or have them shipped internationally. This here is the main area, so this is usually where we actually do the machinima capturing. You can see there's a big space on the table here. There's usually a widescreen. I believe one of the two widescreens that's in the front office was moved down the week we took these photos, because this is usually a 2 TV setup. We'll have I don't know if you can see it here. No, you can't see it, but there's like a jungle gym of wires there. Behind that table, is it visible at all? No. Okay, we have the Xbox One. Just down there, we have a Series X, we have a PS5, we have a PS4. We have any console we would ever need. Oh, we have a Wii. Sorry, not a Wii. We have a Switch and a Switch 2 in there. We basically have any console we would ever need for machinima down there now. And this is the newer main area, because the reason why it's not near all the other computers is because you kind of need to be on your own. You need to kind of be in the space. You can't be around other people talking and distracting you. So this is the main area where we get the machinima done. Sometimes Celtic will come up here and do animation, but that's only if nobody else is using it. That's the power horse. There's like tons of RAM and stuff on it. Really, really strong processor. That's the workhorse computer. And there's like 2 Elgatos or something running out of it. These are all of the One Self DVDs, I think. Yeah. And then you'll see his favorite movies like Dick. What else do we have here? Yeah, so this is also kind of research material for Flick as well. So when he's writing a script, he'll want to see what kind of movies he wants to reference or what kind of material he wants to pull inspiration from, right? This is the side door that we saw before, I believe. No, this is actually the roof. We used to be able to get up to the roof here. There was a wall here or something, I think, that was sealed up. I remember this room being empty when we first moved in. This used to be like not a chill room, but it was when we were getting the carpets put down and everything when we first moved in. This is the room we kept clear for the longest time, where we would sit here, have a smoke, and just chill for a bit. It looks kind of small and cramped now, but when we first moved in, it was actually like, I think we slept here for a night or two, but now it's just temporary storage. Yeah, so I think we also have different rows. So I think this is the research row. Like, stuff here is the stuff that hasn't been watched, and then the stuff way over is the stuff that One side is stuff that has been watched, and the other side is stuff that hasn't been watched. And the easiest way of telling is you can tell when there's like wrapping on it that it hasn't been, it's still sealed. We don't know why Flick gets duplicates, he just does. I'm not the one to tell you why he gets so many duplicates. I think this could be Celtic's row, or it's my row. I think this is my row. Again, Flick will buy duplicates. Like, he'll buy movies for me and say, you know, you should reference this in Army Bowler and Chewies, and I'll go like, fine. But some of my own personal stuff is in here. There's a few Chewies DVDs up around the top, I think, around here. You know, stuff that I can send out to my family and stuff and friends. You know, I don't want to charge my friends and family for DVDs. I'd rather just send them out. So I think that's Derelict's row. Maybe this is Celtic, or maybe is this my one? One of us has row isn't fully finished yet, or isn't fully like stocked out because we don't hoard as much. Maybe this is Celtic's. I don't know. Someone, maybe he was in the middle of sorting it that week, but he rarely uses this area. If he's looking something up, he's usually just looking it up online. But one of the reasons why we have so many physical DVDs here as opposed to having them on, you know, digitally on a hard drive is because we don't want to clog up our hard drives. Our hard drives are usually crammed full to the rafters of raw files and stuff, and we don't delete our raw files. We usually hold on to all our source media just in case we do a remaster or something, you know. This was the fire eggs I think we saw before. Or is it? Some packing materials here. Oh, is this the gear room? I think that's the gear room that we were in earlier, yeah. Sorry, sometimes I know this is my house, but like sometimes I get lost in it. Oh no, there's two gear rooms. Okay. If this is the gear room I'm thinking of, there's something here that I think you're gonna like to see. Again, more hardware stuff, you know, in case stuff gets broken, wear and tear. It happens all of the time. Sometimes we'll have some toys and stuff, you know, in case Flick gets bored. So, like there'll be puzzles. I think there's a Lego set around here somewhere. Just stuff to keep him busy if he's having a tantrum or something. Don't tell Flick what I'm about to show you, but we have a few Halo Joyrides up here. See them? We have two here, and there's another here and here, and we have some RB the Chief figures here, but I'm reselling them because the lease on this place was actually quite expensive, so we need to, you know, pay some money to pay for the roof over our heads. Yeah, this is some of Flick's books here. Celtic stuff here is on the right. A lot of literature, dictionaries. What's this one? The Iron Castings Handbook. Yeah, that's him. Because Celtic he kind of comes from an engineering background, so this is a lot of his kind of stuff. Yeah, and there's not much under there, you know. We never really use that space much. Sometimes people will send in stuff because obviously our PO box is available for people who want to send in stuff to us. So a lot of this stuff is recommendations and stuff that we just don't have time to get to. If we didn't get copyright struck, we probably would stream our reactions to this because we would love to do a reaction, or we would love to do a series where we sit down and react to stuff, the three of us. But the time just simply isn't there, you know. I can tell when these photos were taken because it's dark outside, so it was probably November, December. It could have been the end of 2024. These photos were taken, you know. Some of these are also gifts, right? Okay, so I think we're going to show you Flick's personal collection. So this is he's still adding to it, I guess, but this is Flick's personal collection of DVDs. So, you know, Clicks and Mortar and stuff. Definitely a lot of safer work material here, I would say. And then this is where Flick will have his baths, because very often he won't like shower and stuff, so we have to hold him down in here and basically hose him down and stuff. And the last time we got him in here, it was using Subway, you know, because he loves his Subway. We have all of his body wash and stuff there, you know. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy getting him in there, you know. But yeah, that's more or less all of it. I think we have our smaller booth in here. Yeah. So this is our guest booth for Machinima. So it's a little kind of a hub here, but basically the old... So these 3 Xboxes here, these are the ones that we shot most of our shows on.